All right, so welcome, Hacksters. Today we have a special guest, Steph Piper, who is co-founder of Elkei Education. They've been making waves with some really gorgeous new soldering kits that are available on Pimoroni and elsewhere. And yeah, greetings, Steph. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
So good.
Yeah, so we're coming over from Australia. That's where I am right now. So it's morning over here and afternoon for you.
Yeah, let's take a look quickly at some of these on the internet just so that people know what we're looking at. And I've put the links to these in the description of this video, so you can always catch up. This is the Elkei Education website, and you can see the Bio Girl one and the Space Girl one. Now, these are especially amazing because it seems like you're using multiple colors of solder mask. And I would love to ask you about that, but first, let's just chat a little bit, if you're down, about Elky and like how did you get started? What's your mission? Things like that.
Yeah, so we're Elkei Education anyway, so we're making electronics kits to help get young girls excited about working with electronics. And we originally began out of a startup weekend competition. Cool. It was a few years ago now. There was a local startup weekend comp here in Toowoomba, where I am, and that's where I met my co-founder, Andrea. She's pretty fantastic. She takes care of all the marketing, business, social media stuff. So very lucky to have met her. But essentially, I came along to the weekend. I pitched the bare concept of the idea and said, okay, I want to work on something electronic for girls. And so we worked on the weekend on the idea and, built up a little website, spoke to customers, all that kind of classic start weekend action, and then finally pitched to the judges on the final day and ended up winning that competition, which put us in the position to go to the international finals in Bali, which is pretty fantastic. Wow. So we got to go and pitch again against teams from China, Malaysia, Brunei, Japan, all kinds of places. And we ended up winning that one as well. And so we we were able to step back and be like, wow, that's maybe this idea has legs. And so we decided to sit down and start working on it more thoroughly. And so since then, anyway, that would have been into 2017. So it was a few years ago now, and we've pivoted quite a few times since then. We've had different ideas, and along the way, I've learned how to design circuit boards from scratch. So I don't have like an official sort of training background. I've always been super keen and really interested in learning this stuff by myself, but I've never sort of felt as if I was good enough to actually sit down and do it. And of course, you can sit down on anything you want. If you have the time,
because these designs are incredible.
We have an artist on board who does the actual design work. I'm really, really proud of myself that I actually, was able to get in there and figure out the process from scratch, trial and error, that kind of thing. I really think you can just sit down and just learn anything, and you shouldn't hold yourself back anyway.
Yeah. What tools do you use for PCBs nowadays?
So software-wise, to actually get something like this 3D cat that you showed earlier, it's a process, with the artwork as well. So normally I would begin by making a 3D model of the finished product, like this one here. So you can see that all the pieces fit together in 3D. And then I would turn that into 2D, in the CAD software as well. So I've been using Rhino for this. And then I would, get the artwork and put that all together in Illustrator with the edge cuts that I've made. And then I'd go and put that into Inkscape and export it with the SVG plugin. And then I would go and put that into KiCad and then realize, of course, that the artwork intersects with the schematic and then start from scratch again.
Oh, no.
So, the cat design especially has been, super iterative. There's been versions and versions of it to get to this point.
Wow. And what you say about the art intersecting with the schematic, that's because you're using some of the gold coating here as part of your design. Is that right?
Yeah. And I assume that's why people don't tend to use this method as much.
And what about these? Yeah. You've got these incredible, multicolor solder mask designs. Did you have to work with a special fab house to get that to work? I've never seen this before.
Yeah. So last year we got the chance to go to we ended up visiting like a circuit sourcing show over there, visiting a whole bunch of factories, and I sort of led a bit of a local group of people who were interested in hardware to come over with us. Looking back now, it was like the perfect timing. It was August last year, just before all of this began. So,
wow,
yeah, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it's really tricky to find a factory that will do interesting and sort of a bit out of the way type techniques on their circuit boards. And we were only able to find one place that could do it for us.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a super tricky one. And yeah, like we had like quite a lot of pushback as well from people when we were asking them. We said, oh yeah, we want this. And they said, why would you want that? Circuit boards are meant to be functional, not beautiful. What are you doing?
It's funny because I would have thought that the sort of the PCB art community has been going strong for a few years now, so I would have thought that the word is kind of spread, but who knows? On your website, you don't just have PCBs, though. You also have all these resources. You've got these printable, downloadable posters that are really beautifully designed. You've got some other resources for learning and little workshops and things. This is so cool. Is this sewable kit also another thing that you produce?
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, let me make you big.
So this is it here. You can sort of see the lights coming on and off.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the idea is it's a snap-out design as well, and you can press the button to test it before you put it through. But it's essentially designed to pair with a wearable tech activity for kids. So like we sort of find that like while people sort of they sort of like if they're buying for kids, which is what the audience we're going for is, they sort of want to have an activity that is set with the thing so they can know what to do with it. Like especially, you're thinking about women in STEM, the problem that we have is we don't have as much of that generational knowledge. So if a mother was to sit down and do activities like this, she will often want, to make sure that it's an activity that they're going to be able to enjoy and have a frustration-free experience with to some extent. So the activity that we've got anyway for that one is this one here. So this is called like a hero band. And the idea is that you've got like a couple of clips. And when you join the clips around the outside there, the circuit comes on.
Oh, cool.
It's hard to see in this camera, but it's conductive fabric tape. And I've done quite a few wearable tech, like sewing activities with students before, and you sort of soon fast realize how terrible everyone is at sewing, like hand sewing especially. And so chucking on a couple of rails like this with conductive fabric tape speeds up the process significantly. So rather than trying to sew running stitch all the way in between all your parts with your conductive thread, you can just chuck down your conductive fabric tape and just, do point stitching around each part. Makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, I've also had issues with conductive thread, and I found that the tape is much better for that kind of thing. I noticed when you held up the PCB for this kit, as a whole, it also has almost like an animal paw design. And on the cat PCB as well, you also had a sort of...
Oh, I didn't even notice that. It does, though, doesn't it?
It kind of looks like a kitty paw.
It is.
Also on this guy, it's a little breakout kit, and even the original form before you snap it out is very beautiful. I love how there's art in every part of the process. It's super cool.
For sure. I ended up putting out a blog about this process anyway, and this is iteration 9. So the earlier versions of it were fairly ugly looking. I'll be much faster at the process next time around, but it's been a lot of trial and error to design stuff that snaps out, because the factory has very specific regulations around how big the tabs can be, how many tabs they want you to put on there. And they'll just tell you no if your design's too weird. They're just like, no, we can't make that. Try again. Trying to actually get it to the point where it is easy to snap out for a child, and also makeable by the factory is a hard balance to strike.
Wow, yeah. Especially when you're limited in the factories you can use already by the colors that you're going for. Speaking of these other ones, actually in general, how did you decide what sorts of designs to do? How did you come up with these ones, and do you have other ones that you're coming up with in the future that you can say anything about, or is it secret?
I do have a little little secret design here to show you that hasn't been revealed just yet. So this is just a sneak peek. I won't tell you what it does, but you'll be able to see what it is anyway. It's going to be a spaceship design that'll snap together.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so that'll be coming out soon, but yeah, still very early iteration stages anyway on this one. Haven't quite got it working yet, but we'll see.
I love that hexagon grid pattern. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
You mentioned a blog. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to that blog post if you like.
I would love to put that in the description of this video so everyone can take a look at it.
Yeah, it's got a good picture of like all of the iterations side by side, and so you can see like the progression. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, design wise, we're just trying to make things that are going to appeal to girls essentially, and sort of make it something that they will be excited to make and to have as a finished product. You know, like I feel like there's like a lot of soldering kits that are sort of, you know, your classic boring green, and while the process of making it is fun, the end product is not sort of like super exciting looking. Yeah, but of course, anyway, like the kits are for anyone who wants to make them. So if you've got a little boy who takes a real liking to the cat, yeah, these are for anyone who is going to get excited about electronics.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you started out with a name that was something like Spark Girls, and you changed it partly because of the huge saturation of that word in the space, but also like it's kind of cool that Elky is a sort of gender neutral term, and really like why wouldn't a little boy want to put together this amazing sparkly kit with like a cool space girl on it?
Hell yeah!
I feel like I would.
That's right. I think it sort of really shows like the power of diversity in this space anyway. Like the more diverse people that are, you know, looking at boards like this and making stuff like this anyway, like the more that they'll come up with different ideas and start to challenge the norm in terms of what's expected and what we can be doing. Like I'm so excited about the potential for wearable tech in this space. Like, you know, I want to have my heated jacket with my goddamn sparkly light up shoulder pads. Like I feel like there's so much of that that's completely untapped that the new generation can start to see and get ideas and sort of, make it happen, I think.
Yeah, it's super inspiring. I also love how the design of these plays in not only to the PCB art community, but also there's this whole, you know, thing going on with enamel pins, and these look like they're wearable, and you can put them, like attach them to your clothes and sort of rep your technological know-how.
Yeah, pretty much. That's sort of the inspiration anyway for those badges is your enameled pins. So here's one of them here. That's pretty much how we explain the concept to our artist anyway.
I love that you put actual power switches on those. I always get super mad when I have to like push the little coin cells around with my fingers. Like having a switch on there really makes a difference.
Yeah. The next sort of thing we're keen to do as well with these badges is to like make sure that the coin cells are safely stored in there. So like often, like when you're looking at product safety data sheets, especially for Australian standards, to have a coin cell in a product, the idea is that it's got to be able to be fastened in there with some kind of a tool, so that kids can't get in there and take it out and swallow it, which can be quite dangerous. So the next round of these, I'm really keen to have like a little screw that actually fits in the back here that blocks it from coming out, so that once it's in there, it should hopefully stay in there.
Oh yeah. We have a comment that says, "Too cute, awesome space kit." I agree. That green one is gonna be amazing. Also, the space girl one, so pretty. So when I was growing up, I was really inspired by these toys called Polly Pockets that are like these little engineering marvels. Sort of, do you know them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like little tiny fold-out worlds, and they go into this tiny compact package. And I was wondering if you have any particular inspirations from when you were a kid. Like, what kind of, like, obviously I can see we didn't really have electronics kits that were designed this way, but there were some cool things. Yeah, what did you grow up with?
Ooh, good question. So I was an only child, and I sort of found my own entertainment pretty quickly. But I loved it just to go outside and explore, and you know, take the old bug catcher outside and see what's going on. I also grew up with scouts as well. Yeah. So I was a pretty adventurous kid. Yeah.
And you did scouts as well?
Yeah. So lots of camping, lots of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I love getting in there and having a hands-on approach and not sort of, sticking to as many gender norms, I suppose, growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I had another question, which is, you mentioned that you taught yourself to do PCB design from scratch, which is incredible. And you've been using KiCad and Inkscape and all these other apps sort of together. How did you teach yourself this stuff? I'm assuming you used some online resources.
Oh, yeah. So at the very start, the fantastic Sean Heimel, his
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
series on KiCad was an absolute lifesaver. He's a fantastic content creator, and like just the way he's able to speak so clearly about the process. Like there was a lot of pausing and rewinding and all that kind of stuff, I think, on that initial video series that he made, and that's sort of what kickstarted me to actually get in there and have a go. And one of the first circuit boards that I made was an art PCB that's sort of like up on the shelf, but a similar version anyway is our circuit board business card here. So that's got both myself and Andrea on there. So Andrea's there. She's my co-founder. So this is our little circuit board business card now anyway. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, a bit of fun. So going to Shenzhen anyway, like having a whole bunch of these on us, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic to sort of get people to come over and have a chat to us, and they'd be like, "Oh,
does that also help you like explain to the manufacturers, like, yes, I actually do want something that's kind of aesthetic?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it really helps.
I've also looked at Sean's tutorials for some help, and they're so good. Yeah, we can throw the link to those in the description as well.
Oh yeah.
So we're moving towards wrapping up here, but I was wondering if there's anything else you'd like to shout out or throw in there before we wrap up.
Oh yeah. So thanks so much for having a look, everyone. So you can check out Elky, our website, elkei.com.au, if you'd like to come and have a look at what we've got. Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. So awesome having you on, and everyone go to the links in the description for the Pimoroni links for these 3 kits. It looks like the cat one is coming out soon, but not quite on there yet.
Another month or so.
Okay, cool. I'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
And then there's also, of course, this biology one and the Space Girl, which is just absolutely stunning, which you can buy right now. And they're not even expensive. That's what blows my mind. They're like £9 for this beautiful kit, which honestly is pretty incredible. But yeah, okay, so go. I could just geek out about this forever, but I mean, let you go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, especially you, Steph. Have an awesome rest of your, I guess it's morning for you, so rest of your day. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Okay, cool. See ya.
Cheers.